In the global imagination, South Korea is a powerhouse. It's the land of K-pop idols who conquer world stages. The home of tech behemoths like Samsung and LG that define our digital lives. You see gleaming skyscrapers, hyper-efficient subways, and a society that seems to pulse with the energy of the future. But pull back the curtain on this shimmering facade, and you'll find a darker, more desperate reality playing out in the lives of its youth. Beneath the gloss of modernity lies a world of crushing pressure, where the relentless pursuit of perfection has become a national obsession. And the stigma of failure can feel like a life sentence. This immense weight is placed on their shoulders from an astonishingly young age. In a society where competition is the air they breathe, childhood is not a time for play, but for preparation. The school day doesn't end when the final bell rings. For millions of students, it marks the beginning of a second shift, a grueling circuit of private academies known as hagwons. They shuttle from English tutors to math cram schools, often studying late into the night, sacrificing sleep and social lives for a competitive edge. This isn't a niche activity for the wealthy. It's a societal norm. It's so ingrained that many South Korean families will spend over a third of their entire household income on this supplementary education. A staggering investment in a future that feels anything but guaranteed. All of this effort, all this sacrifice, funnels toward a single terrifying day, the Sunung, South Korea's national university entrance exam. This isn't just a test. It's portrayed as a destiny-defining event, a moment that will irrevocably shape the rest of a person's life. The pressure is so immense, so universally understood that on exam day the entire nation holds its breath. Flights are grounded to prevent noise from disturbing test takers. Office workers are told to arrive late to clear the roads for students. And police cars are on standby to rush anyone running behind to their exam center. The national obsession is to secure a place in one of the 3 elite SKY universities: Seoul National University, Korea University, and Yonsei University. A degree from one of these institutions is seen as the golden ticket, the non-negotiable key to a successful career and a stable life. Anything less is often perceived as a profound failure, not just for the student, but for their entire family. This relentless high-stakes pressure cooker has real devastating consequences. The stress doesn't just build character, it breaks spirits. South Korea consistently records one of the highest suicide rates among developed nations, a tragic indicator of the silent despair gripping its people. According to recent data from 2022, the rate stood at a heartbreaking figure of over 25 deaths per 100,000 people. With mental health crises and academic or financial stress often cited as contributing factors, for young people, the pressure doesn't end even if they succeed in the educational Hunger Games. Once they graduate and enter the workforce, they run headfirst into a new set of structural barriers. The job market is dominated by a handful of massive family-run conglomerates known as chaebol. Securing a coveted position at a company like Samsung or Hyundai is fiercely competitive, and these jobs are seen as the only reliable path to a middle-class existence. For those who don't make the cut, the options are far less stable and lucrative. Compounding this professional anxiety is a housing crisis that borders on the absurd. In megacities like Seoul, the dream of homeownership has become a fantasy for an entire generation. The average price of an apartment in the capital has soared to levels that are completely disconnected from the average salary. A typical young worker would have to save their entire income for decades to even consider buying a modest home. This harsh reality has shattered the traditional blueprint for a successful life that was promised to them. Study hard, get a good job, buy a home, and start a family. With each step on that path now seeming impossibly out of reach, a sense of profound disillusionment has set in. The social contract feels broken. The game, many believe, is rigged. As these conventional routes to success and security evaporate, a desperate search for an alternative has begun. And for millions of young South Koreans, that alternative has a name: cryptocurrency. In a system where hard work no longer guarantees reward, the volatile high-risk, high-reward world of digital assets has become a siren song. It's not just an investment. It's a perceived escape route, a lottery ticket out of a life of struggle, a final, desperate gamble to leapfrog a system that seems designed to hold them down. The adoption rate is stunning. By the end of 2024, an estimated 6 million South Koreans, Nearly 10% of the entire population held cryptocurrencies. Drill down into the demographics, and the picture becomes even clearer. Among young people aged 20 to 39, the ownership ratio skyrockets to nearly 60%. This isn't a fringe movement. It's a mainstream phenomenon, a cultural shift born from collective desperation. Yet, for the vast majority, this digital escape has turned into a financial tragedy. The dream of overnight riches has morphed into a nightmare of devastating losses. For many, crypto wasn't just a side investment, it was everything. They poured in their savings, took out high-interest loans, and bet their entire financial futures on the promise of a digital gold rush. The brutal reality is laid bare in the statistics. Between 2022 and 2023, over 70% of individual crypto investors in South Korea lost money. These weren't small dips in a portfolio. These were catastrophic collapses, with the average loss reported to be a staggering 60% of their total invested assets. This widespread financial devastation was crystallized in the horrific collapse of the Terra Luna ecosystem in May 2022. Created by a South Korean developer, Do Kwon, the project was seen by many as a source of national pride and a seemingly stable entry into the crypto world. When its algorithmic stablecoin, Terra USD, depegged from the dollar, it triggered a death spiral that wiped out over $40 billion in value globally in a matter of days. The fallout in South Korea was immediate and heartbreaking. Countless young investors who had bet their life savings on Luna saw their net worth vanish overnight. The news was filled with stories of ruin, and tragically, the collapse was directly linked to a spike in suicides among those who had lost everything. The dream of a digital escape had led them to a financial cliff, and for some, the fall was fatal. In the end, the frenzy over cryptocurrency in South Korea is about so much more than money. It is a scream of defiance against a society where the traditional rules for success no longer apply. It's a rebellion against a system that demands perfection, but offers little security in return. A system where the path to a stable life seems blocked at every turn. For a generation that feels left behind, the blockchain offered a new, decentralized ladder to climb. But this desperate gamble, this last-ditch effort to escape a predetermined fate, carries an immense risk. For far too many, the hope of finding a way out has instead become a final, devastating trap, the last straw that breaks an already overburdened back, turning a collective dream of freedom into a shared nightmare of loss and despair.